I searched and searched for a video that can teach me how to integrate Swagger UI in a Spring Boot project in a quick and simple way, but I couldn't. So I will share with you the easiest way to do it. If you don't know about Swagger UI is a tool which offers a user-friendly interface to interact with the APIs and ensure thorough documentation of the API endpoints. Developers can use it to explore and test API endpoints seamlessly. So it is basically like Postman, like we use Postman. You can use all the API endpoints and test them over at Swagger UI, but it provides you a user interface and you can use it on browser. You don't have to install a Postman. And the second best thing is that you don't have to create a request like in Postman. It every time you build the project and run the project, if you added another endpoint to your project, it will get automatically updated and the API will be there. The request will be created over there in Swagger UI. So the first step in the integration of Swagger UI in a Spring Boot project involves the addition of this dependency to your project. The dependency I'm talking about is springdoc-openapi starter a web MVC UI dependency. So if you're using Maven for your project management, so you can add this dependency to your pom.xml file. This is the file where we store all our dependencies to you, so you need to add it there. In the second step, what you would need to do is need to create a open api config class and annotate it with configuration annotation. If you don't have a config package, I will recommend you to create a config package and then add this class there. And then what you need to do is you need to create a bean of a Spring Shop Open API, and inside this you will create another Open API instance. In this instance, you can see that there is an object of info. So OpenAPI, this is the main class from the OpenAPI library that represents the OpenAPI document. And as you can see, the info object, this class holds metadata about your API, such as the title, then your description, your version, and you can actually add contact details if you want, like I have done here. I have added my name, the URL to my GitHub profile, then I've added my email as well. You can add the license that you are giving for your project. You can add it there as well. So in the step 3, what you need to do is now you have to move towards the controller level layer. So for example, I'll open the pin code controller over here and I'll just scroll up for a okay while. Uh, Now what you have to do is add an at the rate operation annotation to your endpoints, and inside the parentheses you can give the attribute summary. uh, so what is API actually does, you can add it in the summary in in some short phrase, and this summary is actually reflected in the Swagger docs as well. So I'll just hop on to the Swagger where it is open. Yeah. So as you can see that this summary is getting reflected here in front of the API endpoint. So you can see that the API URL is over here and the endpoint is over here, and then the summary is over here. So it says updates pin code record and entering the primary key. So this API is present in the project. So it is saying like that. Okay. Then additionally, what you can do is you can give at the rate parameter and at the rate API response to provide more detailed information here. I haven't done it, but you can do it. The at the rate parameter annotation is used to describe the parameters of an API endpoint. So these parameters can be of type URL path, query, strings, headers, or cookies. It helps consumers understand what data they need to provide to use an API endpoint correctly. So let us check out the key attributes for at the rate parameter annotation. I have actually listed them out here. So the first is the name. So the name of the parameter, it is actually a mandatory attribute here. Then there comes the in attribute. This actually suggests the location of the parameter. So the possible values are given below. First is the path. So if you're passing a path parameter, you can actually say in path. And if you are passing a query string parameter, then you can say query. And if you are giving a particular HTTP header for this request or the endpoint, you can go for header. And if you are making use of cookies in your projects, you can actually declare that as well. Moving on to the next attribute, there is description. So you can give a brief description of the parameter that you're using. Then there is the required attribute. So this is actually a boolean type attribute that you give, so which indicates that the parameter is mandatory or not. So if required is true, the parameter is mandatory. If it is false, then it is optional, that kind of thing. Then there is this one other attribute, that is the schema, which defines the data type and format of the parameter. Like for example, data type is string, so it will say string, and in the format in which it is given, that as well. If it is lowercase or uppercase, you can give it there. You can use the @ schema to specify all this information over there. So API, then there comes the @API response annotation, which also I'm not using, but you can actually use it to describe a possible response from the API endpoint. You can actually add multiple of @API response annotations on a particular endpoint, uh, which can represent a different HTTP status code. Like for example, you can give it for status 500, status 400, status 404. A good example of this is that sometimes developers tend to give other HTTP codes as well. Like I used to give 422 unprocessable entity to some of my requests, so that the other developers can understand that what is going on. If you always give 404 or 400 status, the people cannot understand what goes on internally, so that helps a lot. This actually helps the API consumer understand what to expect in different scenarios.